If your approach is simply by addressing mobility, thinking that you're hitting everything, you're missing the point. Because mobility isn't just about how far you can go, but rather about how well you can control the quality of that movement. And that's exactly what most people skip. So in today's video, I'll talk about exactly why flexibility isn't the sole thing that makes you move better, and how control of that movement is actually what helps you move better, feel stable, and be pain-free. See, the difference between the two is within the stretch, I'm more relaxed, where the muscle's actually being lengthened passively. Where in the active movement, I'm creating the range, which not only just trains control, but also mobility. And here's why this matters. Because when you get into a range of motion that your body isn't familiar with, what ends up happening is your body will tighten up and muscles will start to spasm, which is probably why people who stretch all the time often feel the most tightest. That is your body's natural reaction to prevent you from tearing a muscle. This is an example of your body's protective mechanisms trying to prevent you from overstretching a muscle and tearing it. This is basically your nervous system's way of saying, if you can't handle this position safely, I'm not letting you go there. So in essence, mobility training is essentially your body's way of training your brain and your joints to trust each other so that they can get into that range of motion through slow and intentional movement. You're not just working your muscles, you're training your brain to allow more movement safely. And that's how real mobility improves, not just forcing flexibility, but by earning control. Think about it like this. When you squat, reach overhead, or bend over forward to get something off the floor, your body requires a level of stability as well as flexibility. And those two together essentially make what we know as mobility. The concepts differentiate where we talk about stability and mobility and flexibility, which we can talk about in another video. But the idea is this: we need to be able to stabilize our joint as we move through a range of motion. And the range of motion comes from our soft tissue, our muscles. The muscles essentially act like a pulley on our skeleton for us to move through. And when we have either tissue issues or capsular adhesions, whether it's just joint stiffness or maybe the joint is hypomobile, in the instance of someone who's dislocated their shoulder before, now the capsule is a little bit more looser than it originally was, and it predisposes you to an increased risk or future likelihood of basically another dislocation because that tissue now has been outstretched. And if we simply just or don't have the flexibility, we end up creating compensations through the movement, because if our body can't do it, our brain will figure it out. Because in the instance of if we're being chased by a bear, our body is going to figure out a way to survive, whether it's through compensation or an ideal movement pattern or whatever the case might be. So instead of spending 20 minutes just stretching, maybe throw in a few movements of you just exploring different ranges of motion, whether it's a Cossack squat, whether it's world's greatest stretch, whether it's a sideline thoracic rotation, something that is a foreign movement. I encourage you to just kind of move and explore a range of motion, because we're meant to move in more than just one way. So if there's one thing you take from this video, let it be this: stretching is nice and feels good, but the ability to control range of motion is going to trump it by far. That is, we need to be able to control ranges of motion, but we also need to be able to have flexibility and range within that tissue as we move. Because when you build control, your body's finally going to stop fighting you. You'll move better, recover faster, and just overall feel better functionality, because you'll move and feel better, recover faster, and just have flexibility that is sustained. So if this video helped you see mobility differently, please be sure to hit the subscribe button and notification bell, as I'll be sharing more content on how to train your body for longevity, not just flexibility. And be sure to comment below and let me know, what do you feel that you struggle with movement wise? And maybe we can start there in the next video.